Let's do it. Let's do this. Okay. Well, first of all, this is Bianca Raby. She is a founder of Opida, which is a digital educational platform agency, right?
Yeah, we can say we're agency or consultancy. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. And you guys are working to raise the bar of online education.
We are. That's why you're sitting in this set today.
Amazing.
Yeah,
so what's the plan? What's the idea?
This is the studio that we've set up to do a lot of filming of educational content, and also just to raise production value and really see what's possible with great equipment and great planning and design.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Beautiful. I know that maybe doesn't come through, but we are in Bali.
Yes,
we are. Yeah.
Yes, with rice fields just outside.
Also, So how come you are living in Bali and running this agency here?
I came to Bali after living in Cambodia for a year, and I've been coming to Bali for a long time as a tourist, and wasn't sure where else to go. I wasn't ready to move back to Australia, and landed in Bali to meet with someone about a business opportunity, and I just kind of stayed, and at the same time was deciding to start Opida. So it seemed like the perfect place to start a business around heaps of other entrepreneurs, and in a place where you've got the calmness of Ubud, and great food, great community, great events. So it just was a really nurturing place.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's how I landed here, and I haven't left.
Yeah,
so,
beautiful. Many people's stories.
Yeah,
I think
it's hard to leave when you have this beautiful life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
But okay, so not your whole life has been about finding this like beautiful, nurturing environment and the balance in it. So why don't we start with you actually telling us a bit about your journey in the lead up to the burnout, and what did your life look like then?
Completely opposite to what it looks like now.
Ooh, okay.
And I think I've actually had about 2 burnouts and maybe 2.5. So I think the first one came when I was about 27, and it was when I made a big decision to leave my job with the Northern Territory Education Department and quit teaching. I used to be I was trained in primary school, but I used to work in the education department, and had a really heartbreaking career incident that kind of really shook me to the core, and I kind of went, this is not how I imagined my career, and these are not the environments that I want to work in. And so there was a lot of dissonance around getting up every day and feeling like a bit of a puppet for the government and not really actually making any difference. And so it was really struggle for quite a few years, and so I kept trying to find the right role and kept talking myself into staying and serving as a teacher and all of that jazz that you do. And then suddenly I just had too many things fell. My life crumbled within about a month. My relationship broke down where I was living, didn't work out anymore. I was isolated. I was in a remote community. I was having awful issues at work with some personality types, and I was just, my health was deteriorating as well. I'd had just done an injury on my foot, so I was in a really bad place. So everything was just crumbling at the same time. And in that, I think now looking back, that was burnout as well, but I didn't know at the time. And so the only thing I knew how to do was just to change everything. So my strategy was to just flip everything up on its head and go look for something new. And so in true me style at the time was to change the city I lived in, get myself a mortgage, because that's a great idea when you're stressed, and then commit to a 2.5 year long master's program in business at one of the top schools in Australia. Not having come from anywhere in business before. I've only started a small business with some friends, but basically vowed that day that I signed the paper that I was not going to ever teach again. So I was trying to change my career at the same time as retrain, move, and I had no family in Melbourne. So I did all of the things at once to change everything that was in my life, but actually what that caused was another layer of burnout for the next 9 months. And that was trying to find a job, trying to keep the mortgage repayments, trying to get to study, going through all the imposter syndrome of studying in a place I had in a space I'd never known before. trying to fit in with a new crowd, trying to be in the business world, trying to network in a new city, and it was just like, next level exhausted.
Wow.
So I just remember waking up many, many times with this huge weight on my chest, like a physical weight, and just being in super high anxiety for the most part. And then finally, again, cracked it, and then went back and lived with my parents for a bit and took some pressure off, and then sort of started a new cycle by changing my environment again. So that was number one, and then I think about 4 or 5 years later, number two came, and that was after again playing into what I thought I should do, and there was dissonance around what I was doing, and I was in a job that was high pressure, but it wasn't. It seemed like it looked good on paper, but it really wasn't fulfilling, and I saw lots of ethical issues with what was going on, and I was, in the same kind of cycle again, where I found myself in a position where I wasn't around people that were nurturing my soul so much in the work environment, that was taking over my life, and I was back on the hamster wheel of, just working to earn money to pay them rent to then do it again next month, and lots and lots of bad habits, which I'm sure we'll go into.
Yeah, we will.
But
you brought up so many things that I want to go deeper into.
So that was like round two, and then again, my only strategy I had at the time was throw everything in the air, and so I packed up and moved to Cambodia.
Yeah.
And now I'm in Bali.
So no burnout since.
No burnout since. Close to. So I think there's been a few halves in the last few years, but not anything like that.
Interesting.
So,
yeah, we'll talk about it as
Yeah.
well. So this is actually a pretty common thing once a person experiences a burnout and they don't fully address what the causes are, what the roots are, then the burnout tends to come back again. So it's kind of like the recurring burnout is a thing.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to talk about your lifestyle at the moment and your belief systems and how these things have shifted for you. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thank you for putting the context together for us. Yeah. So let's get deeper into some of these things. Okay. So one thing that you mentioned, which is interesting, and I have heard other people talk about it too, is that you didn't fully realize you were burning out when you were burning out.
No.
You didn't even know that was a thing.
No.
So, but when you look backwards and you look at lots of the symptoms you actually described what they were, could you just sort of summarize what were the symptoms of that period of time where you were experiencing that? Perhaps the symptoms that now you would like to just, pick up and be like, oh, okay, this is the alarm. It's going off.
I think the alarm for me has always been if I lose motivation. So I'm very intrinsically motivated. I don't need anyone to kind of put motivational things in front of me. I tend to be able to get up and get myself together and do what I need to do. And that's exercise, that's anything. If I really put my mind to it, I can just do it. And so I know when I lay in bed and I don't want to get up, then I'm in trouble, because there's not many days that has ever happened in my life. So I know that's a sign. And if I'm letting other things in my life, my health slip, and all the usual things we know when we're kind of stressed out. And I think the thought patterns and the frustrations become more when you're in that burnout. So you constantly feel agitated at everything.
Yeah.
And I think looking back, I was probably hyper sensitive to so much because I didn't have any filters, I didn't have any protection, and so everything was coming in. And so that means as an empath as well, owning everybody's stuff, owning your stuff, everybody else's stuff, anyone around you's stuff, owning the globe stuff, the world stuff, the Australia stuff, the politics, everything. I was owning all of it, and so it always felt just like the first burnout was like, how can I function in this world when everything seems to be fucked? That's how it felt every day. Because you couldn't see how being what I see now is that if you can center yourself and focus on yourself, then you can do a lot of things to kind of keep your world in a nice state of peace, which will then affect others. But it felt like I had to solve all of the problems out there, and everything was out there and it wasn't in here.
Right.
And so now I can see that that's the sign for me.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if that answered your question actually.
Totally.
Okay.
No expectations. Like I think everyone has a different core symptom that they are like, okay, this is definitely it.
Yeah.
So in terms of the sort of like the time period for these sensations for you to be considered serious, because you know, like every now and then we wake up and we feel shit, and we feel demotivated and want to get up from bed, and maybe that takes 2-3 days. But doesn't necessarily mean that that must be a burnout. So what would be the period for you when you're like, okay, this is too much?
I think it's around 6 months. Like if I'm starting to feel like that constantly, I kind of go, ooh, that's not okay.
Cool.
So there's a little flag that goes off. Or if I feel the physical symptoms, you know, like if I feel the heaviness on my chest, the kind of I just know that my metabolism isn't right. I can feel things not right. Well, actually, back in my first 2 burnouts, I didn't feel much because I was hiding with alcohol.
That's another interesting thing we wanted to talk about.
So it was always numbing that. So I would always know if I was really stressed was how much I was drinking, because it always rose when I was more and more in distress, because you just want to keep numbing whatever it is that wants to come up. It was always a really bad sign if I was thinking of, you know, opening the bottle of wine every night. Was always a bad sign.
Right.
You know.
Okay. That
we were in a bad place.
Yeah.
So
thank you for sharing that.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that gives a really clear idea of the space that you're in and like what to watch out for.
Yeah. And just not taking care and not taking time to make food, not taking time to, you know, I always manage to squeeze exercise in somehow, like at a gym or something, but not the real looking after yourself. It's not, it's just routine kind of city things you do. I have to go to the gym. Yeah. But it doesn't really do what it's supposed to do when you go from the gym to the pub. Or, you know, you're up late working or whatever. So
that's super interesting. I can really relate. Like, I feel like our stories are so similar.
Yeah, when we first met, I was like, oh my god.
You too?
Like, really?
Yeah, because I really relate to that. Like, when I lived in a city, I used to go to the gym and I was like, I'm being healthy lifestyle and, you know, eating healthy. But if you do cardio in the gym, or you like, you know, you still are in that sort of energy bracket where, and also your mindset is towards performing and getting better, and you know you're in constant competition. It kind of just reiterates the purpose. Totally.
So I got addicted to a particular type of gym because it was really competitive, and
good.
You know, like yay, you know, that's just another thing I have to think about. Right. I mean, I used to love it because I didn't have to think when I got there. They had the routine already out, but it's another form of addiction. It's another form of covering it up. And the thing I really noticed was that I didn't start doing yoga until just over a year and a half ago. So I'm like a full late adopter of the yoga. And I remember thinking when I was doing 1 or 2 of my, in the first couple of classes, I was like, I never even at the gym gave myself permission to stretch. Like, because that's not productive.
Interesting.
Right? And you're like, that's not really going to burn any fat, right? That's not going to do anything for me. I got to do stuff that's like productive. And that was my mindset. I didn't go to the gym with that pressure. So it wasn't balanced in any way.
Totally.
Now I lay around on the ball as long as I damn well feel like it.
Yes, amazing.
Stretch my back out and just roll around. And if that's all I do, that's also fine. You know? Beautiful. So
you're starting to touch on these things that I wanted to also look more into, which are around beliefs, belief systems, and I guess like the first question to ask there was that you even mentioned it, I think, in relation to some of the jobs that you had and you know where you thought you had to get to, and even with this exercise, what impact do you think the belief system, the society, your upbringing, the environment had on you burning out or getting to the point of burning out? And I know it's a lot of things.
No, 90%.
Okay.
No, I mean.
So what was going on there? Like,
I think it's just it's this constant drive to achieve something, and the productivity is valued, and efficiency and productivity, and making sure they're the smartest person in the room, and you know, all that kind of jazz. And I think you know, my father's a very ambitious man, and he didn't go through the same education system, and obviously a different era, but very ambitious, and so ambition was praised, and ambition's not bad, you know, ambition's great.
Okay.
But I think I took some wrong messages about what it was to be valued, like what my value was, right? So you know, that I had to kind of prove myself in the world to somebody. And I don't know who this person was. Yeah. You know, it's just all of them.
Okay.
Everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
But probably subconsciously, my parents or my father in particular,
Okay.
because he was the kind of career ambitious one of the two. And I definitely know that as much as fun and activities were part of our upbringing, and I had a very, I guess, joyous and I guess lighthearted upbringing in lots of ways, there was also not a lot of like appreciation of downtime, or you know, there was a kind of a gotta always be moving, you know, gotta be doing something, and you know, craft projects or this project, or we've got to always be doing something. I think that's where I kind of got some of that from, and also just being I guess when you're little and you get praised for certain things, and you just kind of start molding into whatever you're being praised for, so you just kind of keep doing that thing better.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So which of those things that you used to believe before, now you don't believe anymore, and you have found helpful to kind of let go of?
That like I don't have to prove anything to anyone.
Right.
I need to show up every day and just do my best self, and that is totally fine. And
beautiful.
I'm not. No one's got a scorecard on me, you know, and I have free will at all times to choose to stop doing something or start doing something.
Yeah.
Right.
But I know that you're super hardworking and you're running a company, so how does that work together?
I don't know. Asked me last week, I tell you a different answer. Asked me this week, I don't know. Well, because I did actually think about closing it down, you know, because you know, I wasn't sure how to make the balance, but I'm committed to finding a way to run a company, and you know, run multiple one day, and work in a way that's not going to burn me out. And I think a lot of it has come down to some personal work in the last 6 to 12 months, especially around understanding what it means to have your self-worth in place, and some of my old codependency behaviours that have really damaged me in personal relationships as well as business relationships. And so the business that I run, I guess I get a chance every day to test how strong I'm building and how much I'm learning, and because I have so many opportunities of interactions with other people. So it's actually been a really good like practice ground for everything.
I love that.
So I don't know the right answer, because some days I do feel very overwhelmed by the tasks at hand, but I guess knowing where all the old stuff has come from and trying to nip it in the bud now is a bit easier. So I can see it a bit quicker, and that's that stuff again. Okay.
So the awareness is increasing.
Yeah, it's increasing. So
that's great.
If you can shine a light on it, you can at least alleviate it. Or not have as much impact from it.
Beautiful. Love it. Well
Thanks.
done.
Oh, yeah, no.
Amazing.
Trying.
Another interesting thing you just touched on, so codependency, and you kind of indirectly mentioned, you know, perfectionism. That's what we're talking about here. There's just a couple of these traits or patterns that are associated with people who might be at a risk of burning out. So perfectionism, people pleasing, the type A personality. There's a bunch. We talked about them. Also, the like burnout can also be looked at as some kind of addiction, where we are trying to prove our worth through the job, and we attach our identity to the job itself, and we're looking for that validation through that. Which of these things would you relate to or could associate with?
The people pleasing thing is a big one, because I've played a role in my life of mediator, and kind of I'm the one that sort of molds around the other people, and kind of just adopts whatever's going on. I'm kind of very adaptable and pretty, I guess, in some ways quite flexible, and so I don't really I allow people the space to be themselves most of the time, but that's meant that I've never really allowed space for me to be
Right.
myself. So the people pleasing thing's a big one, and also just attaching my worth to something outside of me and external. So somebody else, or some job, or some title, or some opinion of me, or whatever. Like, as soon as you attach anything to something outside of you, you've lost it. So I had to learn how to, cornerly enough, find myself, which we all say, but that actually is true. You have to figure out, and that's a process of understanding like who you are in the world, and what you are, and what all the things that you are, and what you're not, but what you can be, and and just showing up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that answers it. So it's, the codependency and the people pleasing thing has been big. Big for me.
Yeah. Interesting. What are some of the things that you're saying to yourself now? So when there's a situation, let's say, and there's like lots of tasks that are pouring in, and you can do them all, and do everyone else's job at the same time, but if you do, your body is just going to collapse within 48 hours. Yeah. So like, how do you approach that situation now? What do you do, just knowing all this?
You have to I've started to let go of perfection. let go of the idea that I'm gonna get everything done. Because I'm not.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the next thing is I have to say, well, what can I outsource, or what can fall away? So been doing a lot of work on trying to understand more where my superpowers are in my job and in my life, and then everything else outsource. And that's that's a hard thing to do sometimes, because especially when you build your own company, and you are quite attached to it at the beginning. I think you can stay attached to it if you don't do the conscious work to detach from your company. You can treat it like it's your own child.
Of course.
And people do say, companies say, your baby. Say, no, it's funny, but it's like people treat. So the process I've been through the last few months is to really detach from all the outcome of it, and just to say, well, it is what it is, and as long as it's doing what I want it to do, and it's being a source of inspiration in the world, and it's doing all these things, then I'll continue to show up and try and run it better. But I guess in those moments when everything's piling on, I guess I figured that this is a chance to correct the old pattern. So hear it, honor it, maybe sit and cry with it for a bit, but then come back in and say, well, what can we do about that now? So and then everything's not going to get done. My inbox is going to sit at 120 for another week. It's okay, the world's not going to end.
No, of course not.
By the time I get to it, it might be 180, but it's not. The world's not going to end. And just being okay with things not being done. Because I was always priding myself on, I can do it, over promising and stressing myself about delivering and over committing. And I even did it with you. Like I met you, got really excited. I said, I'm going to do this. And then I got back and went, oh my God, I can't have another thing on my plate. You know. So and I had to say to you, like, that's a bad habit. Because I got so excited. I was
and
like,
I really appreciated that.
It's like, I'm going to do the program with you, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't have another thing on my list at the moment because it was already too high. So just trying to be really smart about time.
I'm going to ask you a question that one of my clients asked me yesterday.
Do it.
How did you manage to disconnect from your status, from being someone, from being successful,
the status,
to being just you, what you are now?
I don't know. I mean, people. I think now I just kind of like the idea of just running my ship, and if people notice, they're cool, but if they don't, that's fine. So I've had a really detached identity. I mean, tomorrow I'm speaking at a conference, which is very exciting, but I'm kind of detaching from the status. I think when you start something of your own, you're really vulnerable. So you kind of have to just let it go. And I really was mindful when I started the company that I was going to put something out there, and the people who liked what I said were going to self-select. I wasn't going to change my message for them. So There was something in me that was like, no, just I'm going to say it the way I say it, and if it's okay, if you know people, and I think that's really helped with the whole identity piece too, because I'm not trying to play a role. I'm not trying to play, you know, I don't have a persona that I put on anymore for work.
Yeah.
You know, it helps that I don't have to turn up in makeup and high heels and corporate jackets and all of that. I sit in my office in Bali, and sometimes I do my hair and sometimes I don't. You know, but no one can see it on the screen. It's fine. But you know, I don't have to play into an identity so much because, and being a remote, flexible worker, that like work and life are kind of one and the same, and I don't really have this like persona anymore. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think I have to pull it out sometimes in the right instances, but most of the time with people who have got to know me, most of my clients are very relaxed, and we're just very human with each other.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you say that now it works more as just a tool that you use when you consciously decide to, rather than feeling compulsion?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I use it when I need to. So I can play the role when I need to.
Yeah.
I can then I can retreat and know that's not me.
Yeah.
It's just the role I played in that situation.
Sounds like fun.
Like tomorrow, like I have to put on a particular persona, and I have to speak in a particular way, and I have to, you know, whatever, and I'll do that for half an hour, and then I'll go back to, but at the same time, I think I still manage to, I can't really help but be myself most of the time, so, which has also got me in trouble sometimes.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Beautiful. Maybe it's meant to be doing that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we all learn from one another.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we have covered mostly like the changes of the belief systems and how that has impacted your behavior and your life. The other thing I'm really interested in as well is any other, like, what were the modalities or other useful things that you have encountered in your journey and you'd say that were helpful for you to transform. And for a lot of people, you know, these things, like same way we mentioned coffee and alcohol as a way to numb down, what would actually help you to kind of wake up or just transition basically from that state into where you're at now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all started, so actually I've sort of had nearly 3 burnouts, I think, now that I think about it.
Okay.
But anyway, there was the one that keeps me into kind of changing my life and moving to Asia. And then I changed my physical environment, but I did not change anything about how I was living. So I got into sort of the wrong crowd for a couple of months, and it was very boozy and party, and it wasn't conducive to sort of the new life I was hoping to start, but it had some traces of the new life. Like I was starting to find my own creative outlet. I was trying to prioritize my time more. I was trying to take time off work and reduce my stress. At the same time, I was boozing a lot. But then, I think I was also knowing I was fed up though. Yeah. Like I knew I was fed up with myself, but it took another, from the moment of realizing I was a bit fed up with myself and starting to make changes, it still took me around 9 months to kind of really prioritize my health and stop the alcohol and really kind of step back into like, how am I going to fix this? Like, what do I need to change? And that's when I started reaching out to other modalities, and really vivid memory of my first yoga class. I mean, I say first, I think I'd tried a few times in my 20s to go to yoga, but I found it too boring and it wasn't efficient enough. So I had given up with yoga.
Yoga was too slow for you.
It was too slow for me. I was a fast-paced fitness, I wanted to be like pulling weights and jumping around and squatting. So I, on the edge of sort of the other kind of burnout that got me sort of to leave Cambodia and come to Bali was, I went to a yoga class for 2 hours with a friend of mine who was running like an intro to yoga, and I was like, oh right, she's lovely, I might as well go. But in my mind, it's 2 hours of my Saturday. I mean, it's going to be a long time on this mat. I don't know what we do in 2 hours. How can you have a yoga class that goes 2 hours? There's all things going in my head, right? And I shit you not, we got in, it's all very beautiful, and we're sitting on the bolster. I didn't know it was called a bolster, but I know now. And anyway, all she had us do was just do some breathing. And then she had us stand up, and we were just standing still. And she had us with our hands open, and I just started crying, like bawling. Just tears were just streaming down my face. And I was like, because it just dawned on me that I had not been that still.
Yeah. Oh my
before.
God. Goosebumps. Yeah.
I was like, I've never given myself permission to be still and stand on a spot and just be. And I just was bawling. I couldn't stop. We didn't even do any yoga yet. We were just standing there.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at her.
You're done in 5 minutes.
Oh my God. What's going on? And all we were doing was breathing. So I got through the rest of the class, and then the place we were at was by a pool, and I came out, and she came and checked on me after, and I'm like, what the hell happened? She's like, welcome to yoga. And I was like, ah. So anyway, I went back a few times, but it wasn't really a yoga place where I was living. But anyway, I went back a few times. I still wasn't convinced, and then I got to Bali, and of course, in Ubud, everybody does yoga. So I started just going to things at the yoga barn and sound healing.
Yep.
So sound healing and yoga in the first 6 months of my kind of, I guess, first stage of my transformation from like crazy, high pressure, stressed out person to way more centered and calm, healthier individual was sound healing. And yeah, I would come out of those, like I went to the pyramids one day and I just was like, I just got rebirthed, I was like, I could feel all this tension leaving. And then I tried some trauma release stuff, which was really great for me as well.
Like a breath work?
Yeah, breath work and some trauma release therapy. And that was like, I could feel it come out of my body. And again, the first time I got introduced to that was when I came to the only counsellor in the town I was living in Cambodia. She was an Australian woman, and came to her, and I'd had this huge thing go down, and I was a mess. I'd locked myself inside with 3 bottles of wine for 24 hours, and I couldn't stop crying, and I was like, I've got to get me out of here. And so I rang her and I said, I don't know what to do. She said, come around. And the first thing she did after I blah 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 for 15 minutes, she said, all right, out of your head into your body, and she laid me on the ground and she started doing trauma release with me.
Awesome.
And I was like, oh. And I'm crying, but it was a different type of cry now. It was like a, it was a therapy cry, not a booze cry. And so that was sort of, I guess, my first as well into that kind of, actually we hold this in our body and I need to get rid of it before I can, get any better. So, and then I decided to, really cut the alcohol and make a conscious effort to kind of reduce. So it took a year, and it's completely out of my life now. So,
What are some of the changes that you've noticed?
From getting the alcohol out, or just in general?
If there are any.
Oh, huge. I was always a good sleeper, but I don't think you realise how good you can sleep if you don't have any toxins in your body.
Yeah.
So, my sleep is incredible. I have no idea how anybody can run a business and not sleep the way I sleep, because I crash and it regenerates and then I can do the next day. But I just couldn't imagine doing what I do now with a drop of alcohol in my body, to be honest. I still treat myself to coffee, but basically, it's a pretty healthy, raw kind of diet now, and it just means that all of my energy is going to things that I want to, not digesting or flushing toxins out of my system.
Yeah, constantly.
So, huge difference, and I think the yoga really, for the first 6 months here, I would go to yoga to cry, basically, and I would just sit in child's pose with my head on the bolster and be weeping at the end, or I'd be just going to classes so that I could release, have or sing or something,
Is there any particular type of yoga that really works for you?
Oh, at the first it was just restorative, because I couldn't even imagine doing
really slow
real yoga. No, it's not real, but just like laying around on the mat, stretching, and that's a gift I hadn't given myself to even stretch. So,
totally.
Now I love it.
It's amazing. So tell us a little bit more about your day, your life at the moment.
I do.
What are you using regularly to keep yourself in shape and check as well, I would say, because you're, you know, like you want to be aware when that alarm starts ringing. And
so a couple of things I've put in place. My phone going off at 8, like nothing dings at me. I have separated my work phone from my personal phone. I try not to check it in the mornings before like 8 if I can avoid it. I guess there's exercise or movement every day to some degree. I was a bit slack for a few months there, and I had to kick myself up the butt again, so I've got a personal trainer to help kind of, as much as I said I'm self-motivated, sometimes when you're making 1,000 decisions every day, another decision to go to the gym plus deciding what to do at the gym is just a bit too much. So I get help where I can for that. Just sort of really practicing as much as possible, trying to stay in the moment, meditating as regularly as I can. I try and do like one big meditation a week and sort of little ones, and just remember to kind of, if I'm getting to that stress state, take myself away, take lunch breaks now. We sit and eat together, and I don't have my laptop in front of me, and I just get to eat with people and peace. And it's these are all things that weren't in my life, so they all help on a daily basis. To balance, and then obviously here in Bali we've got the luxury of massages and facials and all those self-care-y things, but just trying to make sure I just go and do that sort of stuff every now and then, and take some time off the screen. It's important. So
beautiful. It's a lot of great stuff.
Not over we win some days, we lose some other days, but not too many days in a row where I don't kind of intervene on myself, so that's good now.
I think you mentioned quite a few like pretty simple like things that people can just implement, really quickly. Like you said that getting away, like once you are stressed, you would just sort of get away from the scene or take a moment. What does that look like for you? Like if you're, let's say there's an email or like there's an overwhelming situation, how do you make sure that you kind of like clear the energy and are able to calm down and respond?
It's actually funny because certain times of the month that I get triggered a lot more than normal, but mostly now I can actually see something, especially work related, and go, and I can sort of see the emotion about to kind of hit and go, no, not worth it, but sometimes they pile on top of me, and then I have the beautiful luxury of being able to vent to a lovely man in my life who don't come out and sometimes the pressure cooker comes out, and to kind of get it out and then feel the emotion that it is, see what it triggered, and then kind of move on. But a lot of work stuff that used to trigger me, and this is, I say old Bianca, new Bianca, because I'll see something and I'll go, well, that would have set me off for hours in a spin, but now I go, oh, that's interesting,
much quicker.
I can kind of dismiss it a lot quicker, which means I can get on with the day.
Awesome.
But then, as the universe does, it sends you bigger ones. So,
of course.
Maybe the little ones you don't notice anymore. But then it sends you more, like, bigger challenges. You go, oh, okay, we're going to deal with that now. All right, sure. So it doesn't really end, but I think I definitely can dismiss a lot more. I can kind of... And if I do have something that's really rocked me, then I definitely take myself out of the situation for as long as I can, and don't try and react on it in the moment. But
you never know. Cool. Before we move on to the ultimate learnings from burnout, one more thing that really interests me is that, so you're running a company with more people in it, and you're like really deep in this like business world. So how did your experience impact the way you treat other people, and also even sort of like manage the company culture in your company? Has there been a shift? Have you noticed, like how your behavior is sort of impacting how you deal with others? Like what sort of, role model you think that you would want to be stepping into, and have you become more aware of these things?
Absolutely. Like probably sometimes to be too much of a extreme, but
okay.
I mean, I do say a lot vocally about everyone keeping balance and putting boundaries in themselves. We're a fully remote company, so people are all over the world working, and sometimes time zones, and it's hard. So I've constantly got a message: you're not supposed to be on call. Like, you're not at the beck and call of this. A lot of people are contractors, and they're not doing, you know, huge amount of hours for us. So I don't expect them to be sitting online. So we talk a lot about boundaries. I do try and be honest with them also about the things that are going on with the company, and you know, at times I've said to them, I need to take a few days off. I'm offline, and I'm very vocal about that. I don't pretend I've got a cold. I say I need some downtime. I'm offline.
Awesome.
You know, so it's giving other people hopefully permission to do that, and especially with the sort of the more seniors in the company, the conversation is always, you know, don't push it. It's not worth it. We're not doing anything on a daily basis that saves lives or is like that imperative. It's the bigger picture is beautiful and it's very amazing, but on a daily basis, there's no point busting yourself for this. Like, you know, we have to deliver. We've got values, and we've got our, you know, service agreements, and we need to do that, but at no cost. You know.
Wow.
So,
I think that's so important to say, because a lot of companies are sort of just pushing regardless. And
and open conversations like, are you overwhelmed right now? Is there too much on your plate? What do we need to do? Do we need to get you some help? You know, like I buffer in a lot of fat into our jobs for that reason, because I want to be able to say if somebody's not coping, we can get you some help. Or I guess that's because I've seen it, and I can see it when you've been through it so many times. You can see it in the eyes of people. So I try and just nudge a little bit. You can't make their decisions for them, but open space. If you need to take the day, if you've got a headache, turn the computer off, go for sleep or a massage. Just don't bother, you know.
Beautiful.
So we try.
Awesome. Thank you for bringing more of this awareness into the working world as well, business world.
Trying to, and actually with clients in the same way too. So, you know, when they're going through a hard time, and obviously in recent times this year, a lot of my clients are in Melbourne, Australia, and it's been a tough year for everybody, and just acknowledging that when we get on the calls, not just like bam business. Like,
you've got kids running in the background.
There's a human behind you, and it's like, how are you doing today? You know, like, are you alright? Is this a good place for the meeting? Should we just, are we good to talk? Anything anyone wants to say? Okay, cool. Alright, we want to get into business, that's okay. But, you know, checking in.
That feels so different. Awesome. Beautiful. Love it. Okay. Let's get to the awesome stuff, the positive stuff. So I really like to approach burnout as a blessing and as a major learning, and
absolutely
right, it's an event that is there to show us something. So in your case, how do you even define burnout specifically for yourself, and what would you think or say are the learnings that you acquired from it?
I love it. There's a Brené Brown saying that goes something like, no one's awakening didn't start with them being sick of themselves. Or something. It's something along those lines. I'm probably misquoting. I'm sorry, Brené.
She'll be okay with it.
I love you, Brené. There's something like, you know, being fed up with yourself. And I think what my burnouts have shown me is, like, sort it out. Like, this is you. Because there's been so much similarities. It's like, well, I can't blame the external world. I created this. So it's like a big torchlight. I'm like, sort it out. And figure out why it's happening and why does it keep happening. You know, because and I think at least, I guess, each time they give me the confidence to know that in any situation I can change it, because that was my strategy to try and avoid it, but at the same time that does give kind of some reassurance that I have the resilience and the ability to change my life at any moment.
Awesome.
whether it's external or internal. And now it's more internal.
Yeah.
Now I say I have the ability to change my life, and I can sit in the same room and do it. I don't need to rip my life up
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
I can do it from the inside.
Beautiful.
But I guess ripping it up many times, the outside world gave me the confidence that I could make changes whenever I needed to. For the better, or sometimes for just a little bit better, and we had to go through it again. But the next time round I'm getting better and better, so definitely a blessing for that.
That's great.
And just made me really sort it out.
Yeah, amazing.
Well, as much as you can, and not sort it out. We're no sorted out. We're all
Yeah,
a work in progress, but
Wait,
sorted out to be here
Yeah,
having this
totally.
conversation with you in this particular moment. So
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I love how everyone's journey is just so unique, and we eventually arriving at the same things.
Yeah.
Somehow, and then we're like, me too. You too.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just beautiful hearing the individual pieces and the story behind it. That's
Good
lovely.
stuff.
What would you, maybe the last thing, what would you advise people who are going through a burnout, or maybe are feeling like there might be, because as we mentioned, like many times we don't even know what it is, and people even feel kind of ashamed to even talk about it and inquire. So if someone has a suspicion or is feeling demotivated for a few months, let's say how you put it, what would you say to those people?
Oh, so many things, but I think the biggest one is give yourself space to breathe. Like, get away from all the things that make you the identity of you. Like, if that means you have to go and separate yourself from your family and friends for a little while and change your environment to be able to then get and see what's going on for you, that's the best advice, I think. It doesn't mean rip your life up and leave everybody and pack up the house and sell everything, but remove yourself from the stresses on a daily basis, because when you're in it, you can't think about it. You have to step out of it to see it, and then remove all of the stimulants. You have to give your body a chance to speak to you.
Right.
Like, it's got to speak to you, and get yourself, just focus on that. You don't have to plan anything. You don't have to get a planner and a diary and a goals and a counselor and a coach and a blah blah. Just take your space away from everything, and all the answers will come when there's space. But we have so many distractions and so many things to keep our attention, and all those reminders of the identity that you've created, which is what's causing the burnout. So until you get away from those reminders, you can't figure out why you're burning out all the time. So
Beautiful.
space.
Beautiful.
First step.
Yes. You nailed it. You basically just articulated something that is, I consider being my mission too, and I'm really, really connected to, which is, our human potential.
Yeah.
And the fact that when you give yourself the ability to really connect, everything's inside you.
Yeah.
All the answers.
All the answers are there. And it's taken me a long time, and I still figure it. I still have conversations where I'm projecting the external as the thing, and it's, I have to be reminded, no, you have the answer, and just sit with it. And sometimes all it takes is for me to just move even from my office to a different location, and just look at something different for a few hours, or just take, and you just something shifts in you. I mean, that's just at a very small level if you're just trying to solve a daily problem or something.
Yeah.
But like, if you're trying to take a good hard look at your life, you can't do it in front of the people that keep reminding you of the person that they're expecting you to be, which is the problem that you're in.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to get out of them, away from them. And it's not because you don't love them, and it's not because, you just have to get away. And you have to put boundaries on. Otherwise you can get drawn back into whatever it is they, have got an image of you to be.
Yeah. It is kind of like an addiction.
Yeah.
So you're becoming clear.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is. And people, are addicted to all sorts of things, and sometimes there's people that are just addicted to being busy, and so much that they can't stop.
Yeah.
And that was me too.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no space to stop, so I can't look at myself. But it's okay, I write my journal twice a week. I'm really reflective. Yep, but there's no time in your life for any breathing or any just stillness or stopping to smell the roses,
Yeah.
But now I do, I stop when I see a really amazing plant.
You do?
I do.
Amazing.
And I never used to know why people said that, stop to smell the roses. I'm like, who's got time to stop to smell the roses? Like, the roses are just pretty, whatever, walk past them. Now I'm like, oh, look at that plant, it's amazing. So
bringing the presence into
yeah.
life. Yeah. What are we rushing for?
Yeah, who are we rushing for? Like,
Yeah.
what's the point? Who's at the end? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, why is it so much of a big deal that I need to be there? Whether it's like just rushing in the day, or rushing in life goals or steps or whatever you call them, milestones, or
Beautiful.
then go with all that. It's a good thing.
Thank you. There's just so much amazing wisdom that's coming through.
Thanks for the great questions.
Yes.
And the great topic.
Anytime. We might do a volume 2.
Volume 2.
I kind of have the feeling. Yeah. But we have some dinner to go to now.
Yes.
So, Bianca, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you for coming to the studio and practicing
Oh,
with us.
yes. I
It's been
love it.
amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nailed it, guys.
Nailed it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh, beautiful. Thanks so much.